on this. To go over it, a form is defined by the form element. It's an attribute that specifies how the form data is sent to the server. The method post means that it's just sent to the browser in that particular protocol. There's also a GET protocol, which we'll go over later on. Don't really need to worry about it too much right now. The action attribute specifies where you send it to. So if we look at our form here, I'm saying the action is HTTP my website /tastemail.php. So it's going to look for a PHP script that will accept it on that site. And it's got to be a general site. We set this. They set the attribute to ditel.com. The problem is that I don't know what would happen if you send something to their website. Input elements are for collecting data. So we see that we've got input elements that I created for the name, for the email, and for the phone number. And there's others here that are called hidden, which means they're values that you want to send to the server, but you don't want the user to see. And then the final input items are the submit, which will submit it to that page, and the reset that would reset all the values. Hidden inputs, we talked about it already. It's basically data that you want sent to the server, but you don't want the user to see. Text input is the most useful. It's for general text input. You would use it for people's names, email addresses, phone numbers, that sort of thing. We'll look at some newer input items for HTML5 next week when we look at HTML5. And submit button is the submit that sends it to the browser. Value sets the text displayed on the button. So we see that the value here is submit. I could change that very easily. I could change it to email Bob if I wanted to. And then we go back on this and I refresh. Oh, right there. It says it right there, right? Text area would be a lot of text, more text. If we look at, some of my stuff here, and the link that says join my mailing list, that's a text area, right? That's a text area. And we could do that as well if I wanted to. So they got another one here, text area comments. Password, you can set up a password if you want. So really good. If I wanted to put in a comments area, I could do it. But this time, instead of doing that, we would do a text area. Have to give it a name, which would be just say comments. Give it rows and columns. So rows is equal to, let's say, 60, and calls is equal to 5. And then I'd want to go into my PHP script to make sure I account for it. \n comments $comments. Save it. I know it's hard to see this, so I'll bring it down. This is basically what's in the script. And I can say, oh, here we go. Now, oh, well, that doesn't look very good, does it? I think I got it just the opposite. Should be columns 50 or 60. Oops. And rows 5. 60. It's going to be a lot. Okay, now if I go to my here, more feedback, and I got the comments too. So you can keep on building on these things, and I think they're doing here. Things I liked, checkbox. Yeah, so they've got these here, and I think this is on their here as well, and we've got that actually. I think it's going to be under Form 2 maybe. Alright, so this would be under their Form 2. And a lot of this stuff is the same, the redirect. Change this. This would all be the same. Enter comments, email address, email. They're saying type password, and the reason they're doing that is so that it doesn't show up when you type it. You get a bunch of asterisks. HTML5Ch2d has a better way of dealing with that. So now if I send this as is, I want to make sure that the form goes to my website, not theirs. It's testmail.php. And I want things I liked or checkboxes. I'm not sure. I think part of the problem is we might not actually get a lot of this stuff. But, you know, we could do this pretty easily. We can add this. Let's see what comes out in it. Let's see. Okay, so I added all this stuff to my little PHP script. Let's leave that in there. We'll put see, this is where I'm not sure how this is going to come out because it's got, this is one of your labs. Let's say submit. Looks like there was a problem there. Let's see what happened in the email. Was that an email? Things I liked. How? Okay. Actually went okay. The redirect didn't work for some reason. But everything else actually seemed to go okay. Oh, the reader. Oh, that's not good. I sent the redirect back to there. Okay, so you can see, and the problem is it only got one, even though I clicked several things. That's what the options were. Like I selected this, it only gave me one. It didn't give me all of them, and that's part of the problem. Here it didn't quite work either because I clicked Ditel.com and I got something different. Let's try again. Okay. Doesn't seem like I went through this time. I'm gonna say. Oh, I should guess links was correct. So you get all the information. Pretty much how that works. Checkbox allows you to select multiple items, and the checkbox isn't really working correctly because it only submits one to the web page. Radio button is similar to checkbox, but it only selects one. And a drop-down list also will let you select one from a drop-down list. The A tag can be used to link to another section of the same document. It can be an internal link. Not used that frequently, but sometimes used. So you would put a go to favorite bugs. And I don't know where that is. I think favorite features. I think the only way to see this to work correctly is if you make the browser really small. Then it'll scroll to it. Otherwise it won't. Internal links are not used that often anymore, actually. And the way you do it is you create a link, href, so go to an internal one. Up here we've got features, and here it's go to features. It'll go to bugs, basically, the internal. And the way you create a link there is you just give it an ID. Any tag can be a link, you just give it an ID. And the pound sign just tells the browser that it's an internal link, it's not an external link. Meta elements are for metadata, describing data or data about data. It's most useful for search engines. So you put information in metadata that you want a search engine to find. So it gets indexed correctly and it gets found. That's the main reason for it. Keywords are used very often. So anything you want, like you would think that people would do a search in Google and you would want them to find your web page, you'd want to put in the metadata. And you want to put it pretty high up, usually in the header section, because that's where the search engines typically look for it first. All right. Questions? About anything? Now there were questions on Lab 1, which says, what I wanted you to do, you didn't have to modify the PHP code, but I wanted you to fix the issue with the link. So there's a couple things I wanted you to do. I wanted you to modify this, use the something like Notepad or front page, add a field called phone number, only using the name to identify objects is old HTML. I want you to add an ID along with name to everything. And also the things I liked thing, it only returned one of these values. You need to change each one of those so that they have a unique name, so that if they click multiples, they'll get them. Tests are mostly multiple choice. You should put the doc type at the top. Yeah, you should. So when I say that this is old HTML, it's best, although it's okay, it's generally a good idea to get in the habit of saying not only name equals this, but also ID equals it as well. You should do that for all your tags. Same thing with the email address. And then also things I liked didn't work very well because all I got was one of the answers, not all of them. So you need to change all of these to something like maybe site design and create an ID on each of them. Rename them somehow. So that's basically what I want you to do in the lab. First lab. HTML, the doc type, helps the browser to determine what sort of content is in the document and what version. So it's kind of like metadata, but it's definitely useful. The browser will usually guess correctly, maybe, but it's best to be specific. Any other questions? If there's no other questions, I'll end the webinar. The G number, your G number, the number you have for your school ID. All the input elements, yes, you have to change them. It will be posted on YouTube, and there'll be links to it on my website. It usually takes 24 hours to upload everything to YouTube. It's a lot of data, but I try to get it up there within 24 hours. You're welcome. Okay, and there's a few of you that need ad codes, so just stay on the webinar. I can go ahead and do that. Let me log in, and I will get you ad codes. For anyone else that needs an ad code? Don't forget to fill in the attendance for today, too, by the way. Doesn't look like anyone's done it yet, because I should have gotten a bunch of emails. Okay, you should have the code now. Okay, well, that might be why. Let me see. Okay, so I see some attendance forms coming in now. Alright. See 4 people filled out attendance. Okay, Christopher, so you should have that now. That ad code.